Welcome back. Today I'm going to share with you one way to get unstuck in therapy, one way to begin making progress. Let's do it. So before we jump in, welcome to Progress Therapy. If you haven't been here before, my name is Matt, one of the therapists here. We are a small group practice treating issues like ADHD, anxiety, depression, and others. But let's go ahead and talk about the one way we can begin making progress in therapy, or the way we can just get unstuck in general. So without wasting any time, the tool that we can use to begin making progress is the DBT diary card. Now, to put it simply, a DBT diary card is a method of tracking emotion and behaviors we want to change. We can also track substance use and whether or not we're using skills and tools to make improvements. Now, I have made another video on my other channel all about how to complete a DBT diary card. If you want to go ahead and watch that first, you can go ahead. I'll link it up here. I'll also put it down in the description below. That is an in-depth video about how to actually complete the diary card. I go through the card itself and walk you through it. So go ahead and check that out. And you might be thinking, well, how the heck is tracking my emotions and behaviors going to help me get unstuck? And I'm going to tell you the 3 reasons why this is going to be helpful right now. So the first reason why tracking emotions and behaviors is important is because it's collecting data and information. And then this data and information can be used to inform our therapy sessions. And this prevents us from getting off track, and it helps us to stay focused on our goals and our reasons for being in therapy. Let me give you an example of how this plays out sometimes. So oftentimes in therapy, people will start talking about how their week was or what's been going on. And if we're not tracking our emotions and behaviors, we aren't always going to be able to remember what's gone on or how we felt 3 or 4 days ago. I mean, for myself, I don't even remember what I had for breakfast 3 days ago, let alone know how I felt 4 or 5 days ago. I mean, a lot of time goes on between therapy sessions, and a lot of life is lived in between therapy sessions. It would be impossible to remember everything. We don't need to remember everything. However, we do want to be able to recall what has gone on since the last therapy session. This is really important. When we don't, we end up on tangents or we end up off track. Let's say, for example, one week, for whatever reason, you can remember that a Tuesday morning was frustrating. And perhaps you start talking about this, and then the whole entire session becomes focused on Tuesday morning frustrations. Perhaps earlier on in the week, there was something else that happened and you just forgot about it. With the DBT diary card, you won't forget. It will actually be tracked, and you'll be able to look at this before a session and know exactly what happened throughout the course of your week. This, I assure you, will help you stay focused and on track in your session. And we typically encourage people to fill out the diary card once a day. So when they record how they felt or what behaviors they engaged in during that day, the information is fresh. This is going to lead to a much more accurate picture of what your week actually looked like. So this is one of the reasons why tracking information can be so helpful. It prevents going off topic, and it helps us to recall accurate information. Another reason why tracking our emotions and behaviors is important is because it allows us to see trends and patterns over a period of time. So let's say you're in therapy for a while and you're tracking your emotions and behaviors consistently over that course of time. We're going to be able to take a look and see how your emotions and your behaviors fluctuated over that period of time. You can even graph or chart this out if you want to begin seeing what things look like in that form. Right? So now you have a graph, you can have a visual representation of your emotions and your behaviors over a period of time. And this is not helpful just to see it, but it allows us to identify patterns. And then those patterns can inform our interventions. Now, let's say, for example, complete the hypothetical, we're tracking the behavior of watching TV because you feel like you watch too much TV. So now let's imagine that we're collecting data about how often you watch TV, and we're also collecting data about your emotions and feelings for an entire year. Now let's say we chart this out, we graph all that information out, and we begin to see that you end up watching TV more often when you're sad or when you feel down. We can then see that this might be a pattern, and then we can explore, well, why is it that when you're feeling sad and down, you're watching more TV? Which one causes which? It allows us to ask more questions, it gives us patterns to analyze, and then it helps us to identify which interventions can be most helpful. It can also help us to identify some of the root causes of our issues. So again, being able to identify patterns over a period of time is really, really helpful. And the final reason why tracking your emotions and behaviors can be really helpful, and I think this is by far the coolest one, is that research has shown that simply tracking behaviors that you want to change, just the act of tracking it, can actually produce change. It can actually help build motivation to create change. Now, there have been studies that have demonstrated this. I will link a few down below in the description. But just merely tracking, the act of tracking our behaviors, our emotions, can help us produce change. So that's pretty much it. We typically orient all of our clients to the DBT diary card. Now, it's important to know that this intervention is not for everyone. Not everyone's going to benefit from tracking emotions and behaviors. However, it can certainly be helpful for a lot of people. And as always, just as a reminder, this video does not constitute clinical or legal advice. This is simply for educational purposes only. And also keep in mind that you don't need to use the DBT diary card itself, although it's very helpful. You can use other methods for tracking emotions and behaviors as well. We've seen people use Excel spreadsheets, they use Notion, they've used their Notes app. I mean, at the end of the day, we simply want to find a way to track emotions and behaviors. So you can go ahead and try that on your own and see if it's helpful. Anyway, we hope this was helpful for you. We hope you learned something, and we look forward to seeing you soon.